Welcome to Bimbos and Bigfoot.
Welcome to Bimbos and Bigfoot. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Trixie.
Today we're going to be analyzing and diving into some pictures that possibly captured the Sasquatch on camera.
But before we get into all that stuff, we want to thank everyone who supported our pilot episode. We really didn't expect to get something like 200 plus views. That's so awesome, and we're super excited. Let us know if you like the format and the way things are being done.
Yeah.
We are open to harsh criticisms. Really lay it on us. And we want this to be good. So, you know, there's no time to mess around.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone who subscribed and liked the video and commented. So, yeah.
Yeah, and please do that to this video.
Yeah, but we've been working on, the format of this show, and Trixie has been working on some creative stuff. How about you tell us about that, Trixie?
Yeah, so sometimes I can't sleep at night, and they say it's good to not look at your phone if you, wake up at, 1 a.m. and you can't sleep. It's not good to look at a screen or something to do with, blue light. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. So sometimes I like to write a little bit of poetry, and obviously at night, that lends itself, the darkness. You start thinking about creepy things. And
Cryptozoology.
Cryptozoology lends itself to that, creepy nature, even if it isn't creepy.
Yeah.
And even if you aren't, thinking of Bigfoot as some, malicious figure, you would have to be scared of it in a way because you have to, respect how big it is. It could hurt you. It could kill you.
You fear and respect it.
I hope that y'all get what I'm trying to say.
This segment's going to be called Poetry Time with Trixie.
Okay, so here's my poem that I wrote the other night. At night I hear a rumble. I hear the leaves crumble. Deep in my stomach I wumble. Can this be? Let me see. This beast who feast. I know you now. I'll give a bow. You are strong and proud.
That was really good. I really liked that. It was simple, but I think it conveyed a message, especially for those late night creative,
And you have to be nice to me because poetry is hard. I don't know. Have you ever read your poetry in front of class? It's you're like, this is, who cares? And then you're like, and it's scary, And that I thought was going to be fun, and then it was a little bit scary for me.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to move on to the main part of this episode.
Which is genuinely creepy.
Yeah.
Just kind of not.
It's Bigfoot related.
Here's what we're going to do. We're just going to give you the facts. And we're going to give you what we know. And then
as the peekaboo Bigfoot,
you'll let us know what you think. But here's the facts, and most of this is going to come from Facebook himself, the source himself, and from Steve Coles and his reports.
And the website where you can find a lot of this on is Squatch Detective.
Yes.
To get things started, there were these photos that blew up on the internet this happened kind of during the pandemic actually too, so this is semi-recent. This man named Scott Yauman from Colorado took pictures of a Sasquatch peeping through his bedroom window. The photos were automatically kind of odd looking, to say the least.
Well, they weren't.
They're very
They
boring.
weren't photos.
We find out that
what he did is he took a video and then he took pictures of it, and from the pictures of the video he posted it on Facebook himself.
Yeah, but he also, when he took the photos, I believe he took a photo of a photo. So he took a photo of the photos on his laptop or his Mac or whatever. So that's why you get the reflection in the photos.
It is a photo of the video on his MacBook.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Yes.
So, these photos blew up on the internet. You might know what I'm talking about, you might not. Supposedly the video was shot in 2017, but this really wasn't, didn't blow up until, the pandemic. So, it was all over my Bigfoot Facebook pages.
Very weird.
Yeah, I guess, let me read some of the bigger parts of what supposedly Scott Yauman posted on Facebook. So he claims that him and his wife had bought 11 acres of land in Bailey, Colorado. After we moved to we moved to a modular home there. We lived off and on there for 2 years for a permanent residency. In August of 2017, we were finishing the interior of the back of the house, and I came into the living room and caught a whiff of a very harsh odor in the room. It smelled like rotting animal flesh, vomit, and excrement, which that's something a lot of people report with Bigfoot.
I know that when I saw him, I also smelled him.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And he smelled bad with a capital A.
Bad! There we go. There we go. Supposedly, Scott caught a glimpse of something moving outside the window from the corner of his eye. He had had bears in the area, but anyhow, who cares?
Well, bears also stink.
Yeah. Oh.
I think that's where they were going with that.
That's true. When he saw the figure by the window, he thought a bear had somehow climbed up the window. I think that meant climbed. I take a lot of wildlife pictures because they literally come up to the outside of the mule deer, elk, bear. Haven't seen any mountain lion and other small things.
What are you saying?
That is literally like what he wrote. So I guess he's saying that he sees animals outside and takes pictures of them. I have quite a few feral cars all over my property. I'm assuming he means cats. Like, this man cannot sign by there. But they hang out a lot. Anyway, I saw the top of a head and that caught my attention. It moved closer and I see its eyes were freaking huge. And it scared me because bear eyes aren't that large or that far apart. I always have a camera handy to get a good shot of the elk that come extremely close to the house, but then I realized it wasn't a bear. Fear struck me hardcore. I used a cheap Kodak Sport digital camera for taking pics, and for the most part it takes fast action pictures and video. It was on the end table next to my recliner in the living room. When I pointed it at the window, it stopped swaying and closed its eyes as if it was a child. So shaking and trying to video at the same time, I moved back a step and it slowly moved from one side of the window to the other. It was a 10-minute video. About 8 minutes in, my wife came in the room and asked me what I was doing. I told her that there's something outside and it ain't no bear. When she looked over my shoulder, she screamed, "What is that thing?" and ran back to the bedroom. I stopped the video, went to the closet, and grabbed my .40 caliber off the closet shelf. When I turned back around, it was moving away from the window. I wasn't going to shoot it. I went to my wife, who was freaking out, and tried to answer her bombardment of questions after reassuring her everything was okay. And then he essentially calls the police department. They reviewed the video a few times and were impressed. But one of the officers was like, "This is a bear." The rest of the night was pretty peaceful, other than his panicking wife quote. He's supposedly seen the same creature at a distance every now and then. But essentially, that is like what happened. But what he released from this experience was the pictures of the video on his Mac, and they're kind of odd looking, and it does, at first sight, it does look like a Bigfoot, I must say. These Squatch detectives and these Bigfoot extraordinaires, these cryptozoology extraordinaires really are something when it comes to investigating this stuff. So people were automatically pretty skeptical. Do you want to go into the next part?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch wrong with his story, and a picture is only as good as the story behind it. When people asked to see the original videos he took the pictures from, he was like, "Oh, they burned in a fire." The videos burned in a fire.
Incredible evidence is a red flag.
I guess could have been a thing. He claimed he bought 11 acres of land in that Facebook post in whatever town.
Bailey, Colorado.
Bailey, Colorado, and that is not any government documentation that exists of that.
Of his purchase.
Yeah, and his name is not Yeoman.
No, not Scott
Yeoman. His name is Jonathan Scott Yeoman. He's born in 1966. And then in that story, and he's posted this in 2017, in that story he talks about his wife, but his wife died in 2012, which is a long time before 2017. And her memorial Facebook page has actually deleted all information of him and cropped him out of photos and everything.
Oh, so it was
his dead wife wants nothing to do with him. According to his Facebook, where he's posting these pictures, he was seeing this other woman up until 2018, when I guess they broke up with him and this other woman.
Oh, yeah. Well, but if she passed in 2017, yeah, I guess,
And...
Oh, my God, it's such a weird triangle of lovers.
No, she passed in 2012.
Yeah, but then he got with a new woman in 2018, so there was never a woman involved.
No, he was seeing a woman up until 2018. Okay. And here's some more things that are like very wrong with his story. He claims to have grabbed a gun in that story, which is interesting.
This is the big
if
breakthrough.
You're in Colorado and you're a registered child sex offender, it's illegal to own a gun. And yes, he's a child sex offender, and he was arrested in 1992 in Howard County, Indiana for it. Yep. He was given 6 years, but he was released after 2.5 years on September 30th, 1994. And in 2008, he got in trouble with the law again for harassment. Beyond that, it does appear to be true, due to the blurriness and whatever, that he took pictures of a video playing on a laptop. That's all true. Like, it must be, look at the video. Look at the pictures. But here's what's interesting. The only identifying mark that you can kind of find in these photos is a small glowing light in the back, which does exist on his true property in, I can't remember what county in Colorado.
I think it's Golden, Colorado?
Yes, Golden. He actually lives in Golden, and his information's all public because he's a registered sex offender, okay?
Yeah.
So this is why it's so easy. So if you're a registered sex offender, think again about how hard it is to pull off a Bigfoot hoax. But that outside light actually exists on a barn in his true property. So yeah, it does look like he just filmed himself standing outside of his own window, like covered in oil, and took pictures of it and tried to convince us it was Bigfoot. And as someone that believes in Bigfoot and has seen him, I find this a little bit amusing, but it's truly disturbing in many, many ways. I don't even know how to wrap my head around this. It's a crazy case. It just turns all over the place.
On Squatch Detective 2, the writers were saying that they had a hard time finding a motive, other than this man has been like so isolated through his own...
Oh yeah, they said loneliness.
Yeah, that's why he did something so strange. But
I've done weird things out of loneliness, but I've never covered myself in oil, taken a video of it, and then taken a picture of that video.
Oh my god, yeah. The responses was kind of mixed initially before Squatch Detective and all the Bigfoot investigators of the world kind of delved into it, because in all honesty, the photos are very jarring. They look relatively real.
No, when I first saw these photos and I knew
they haunted you.
I screamed. I screamed. I'm being so honest. I have never seen, and I've seen Bigfoot, I've never seen anything like this in my life. These eyes, dude. These eyes are watching God. I can't.
Oh
I can't. They're so scary.
Sorry, we're looking at it right now.
I mean, just take a gander at that. She zoomed in on the eyes. Oh my god.
Yeah, like that's kind of like the weird thing too, is like he was just so
oiled.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's covered in.
I wonder if like there's a...
I've told myself it's oil this entire time.
Well, and like some of the theories are too that he made himself look like this, like dark, because when he was preying on children or wanted to peek at children,
peekaboo,
and which this is not funny, but
no,
like,
this isn't funny. This isn't funny. I just have to laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Someone put, clearly there is a precedent here with disclosing a bit more personal information than on some hoaxes. That is because hoaxes, end results, are usually harmless or financially motivated. But I don't think anyone in the Bigfoot community takes things like that lightly, and then they really don't like being pranked by someone that is of that breed. Of person. Yeah, so that's not really a Bigfoot story, more so than it is a story that involves Bigfoot. Yeah, and I feel like it's important to get this story out there because not a lot of people know about it. Yeah, I feel like it made, like, Cliff Barackman had mentioned it once or twice, like, very briefly. Like, oh, Cliff.
I wish we could have Cliff and Bobo on the podcast or be on their podcast.
Bigfoot and Beyond.
That would be just the best thing ever.
So, this brings up another question. Like, how many times have people seen Bigfoot?
Covered in oil.
There's that. How many times have people seen, like, cryptids, but in reality it's just a murderer or a predator? We all don't want to think about that. It's like, oh, someone's there, but it's not a Bigfoot. Like, what about the other way around?
Yeah, because honestly... Okay, seeing a Bigfoot, a Bigfoot is like, there's things that like make me nervous about it, but I'd much rather see a Bigfoot than a serial killer.
Yeah.
In the woods.
Oh my God, those feral children.
In the woods, if I'm quiet, maybe the Bigfoot will leave me alone. If I'm quiet, that serial killer's gonna extra get me.
Oh yeah, 100%. See, if you look up Peeping Bigfoot, what's obnoxious is a episode of Finding Bigfoot comes up, and it's not the same thing. I hate how they're calling this curious photos.
Curious?
Is that really curious?
That's a weird way to say curious. That is terrifying.
Yeah, and I think like the crazy thing is this man set up a camera inside of his living room, went out in pitch black dark, and went outside of his window.
And like peeked in the window. He was like, what do I look like?
Like peeking in his own window. When he called the cops, if he was covered in grease, like that means he had to wash it off and then call the cops. Like this was
grease don't wash off.
Yeah, this is really premeditated. Like they saw this greasy.
He was like, I was working on my truck,
and it's like 2 a.m. A fire burned down like his house essentially, and that's why he.
Oh my gosh! Someone in the comments, please let me know if you watched that Netflix documentary about that guy that bulldozed that town with that like the killdozer.
Oh my God,
Marv.
All right, so in conclusion, thanks for tuning in again. We're still trying to figure out like a regular schedule for all of this. So I guess like, to wrap up this episode, let us know what you guys would like us to talk about next time.
Yes.
And also if you would like us to cover more hoax related things like this and there's something that we don't know.
Like a funny, creepy hoax. Or maybe some real stuff too.
Yeah, and it can be about other cryptozoology things too. Like
okay. I also really love Mothman. Mm-hmm. I love Mothman. If you have anything Mothman related, please let me know.
Yeah, so I guess we're winding down this episode, and
do you know how many people died from Mothman?
And next time
Mothman.
All right, so anyway, thanks guys. Leave a comment, subscribe, share, and we hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yeah. See you next time.
Bye guys.
Oh.